Welcome back to M Hood Fishing. I am not doing this anymore. I apologize for the dramatic title of the video. It's not as dramatic as it seems, but it is true. This is true. I am not doing this anymore. What is it that I'm not doing anymore? I'm not doing the P.O. box. I've closed it. I've turned in the keys. Why? I'm not using it as much. It's not a viable address. It's very, very expensive. Over the years, the price just comes up every year. To give you an idea, last year it was $91 just for just for 6 months. $91 for 6 months, for half the year. Why is it not a viable address? In the state of Louisiana, you cannot use your P.O. box as your home address. However, you can use it as a mailing address for a lot of things, but not your official address. In other states, you can use your P.O. box as your official address. So it doesn't serve me to keep it. It doesn't serve me to keep paying for it. I have received a lot of wonderful things from people, fan mail, packages. I'm very appreciative. I'm amazed at times what people send, sometimes handmade things, other times it's like a box full of goodies. And this is not just a video where I am informing you that I'm not doing this anymore. This is a video of a send out. This is the last hurrah. So if you send something in the future to that box, it's not going to make its way to me. Maybe in the future I will have another box made public, but at the moment there isn't a box. But there is 2 boxes. There is 2 boxes in here. 2 boxes. Okay, so this one I've already opened. Look at that. Yeah, you're right. So why did I open it? Well, actually, I received this box right here, which is coming from Richard in Texas, yesterday. And when I opened it and I was making, when I was just starting to make the video, I was honestly in a bad mood. And then the power went out. Like right after I opened this box, the power went out. And when the power goes out in this house, it gets hot fast. It's already hot when the power is on. But when the power goes out, it gets hot. And my mood just went from bad to bedlam. And then I just put the leashes on the dogs and we went outside and the power didn't come back on. Power was out for about 4 hours, I believe, something like that. And by the time it came back on, I was so completely shattered. I was shattered before the power went out. And I just was like, I'm not in the best of moods to be making video. I'd already made several videos throughout the night and the morning already. And then I opened this box and the power went out. And I was like, yep. Come on, dogs, let's get out of here. But here we are the next day. It's about mid-morning. The house smells wonderful because there's a pot of ginger tea on. And I see the steam pushing. That means hold tight. I'm making grimacing faces for the thumbnail because it is kind of a sad thing, right? To get rid of the box. But the box was costing a lot of money. And I just wasn't using it as much as I used to. I haven't really been getting anything off of Amazon once in a blue moon, right? And I could have that stuff sent here, but there's an issue with here. Well, anywhere, anytime you have something sent to your house, it's probably highly likely that it's going to get put on the porch. Hopefully the correct porch, and then there's porch pirates to consider, right? What the biggest issue is that there's no mailbox here that I can use. There's a cluster box, and I think it costs like $30 a month or something. I don't know what it costs, something, right? But the landlord won't give me a key to it. he's like thinking that that's his box, not mine. So I don't know, mate. I'm gonna see if I could just put a mailbox in front of this place, but I'm not gonna be here much longer, maybe a few months. So yeah, I mean, that's the one good thing about having the P.O. box, was you could just have your mail and other things sent there and not worry about it getting stolen by the public. Just worry about it getting stolen by the post office, because let's face it, our postal system has been dysfunctional for a long time and is dysfunctional now and will continue to be dysfunctional. I mean, it's a no-brainer why there are so many other delivery systems now. Like Amazon has their own delivery system, and then there's other services. You can't rely on one service. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but it's good that we have options. So this is coming from Richard. M. Hood, love the channel. Here's a little something to help with your fishing endeavors. Keep up the great work, Richard. Yeah, you're right, Richard. So I had a look at this, like a peek at some of this stuff yesterday, and Richard is coming super strong with this little box. There is a lot in this little box. We might have a video over an hour if I go through every little thing in here, but let's just quickly go through it. I apologize if some people wanted me to like have a one-on-one emphasis on each pack. There's a lot of packs that would get tedious and boring at some point, but we can do something similar but really fast. Floating bubblegum worms by Gambler Lures. Awesome. I've never used that. I've used something similar, but not a worm, but the idea, I think if I'm correct, and those do float, Carolina rig, and probably very effective more north of here, for sure. There's a lot of standards that he sent, standards in the way of the pour and the color, like standards for me, for my water down here, things I use all the time already. June bug speed worms, right, and other June bug things. We got yum dingers, and then we have a similar, this is a type of speed worm, but it's got a different, the tail is different. It's got an extra appendage there. June bug again, and I hear people's voices. Got windows open. That's the problem with the windows open. You hear people, but that sounded really close, and I'm looking, I'm craning my neck, and I don't see the top of anyone's head. It's not like I've got anything out there. It's not like it's Porch Pirates, but why I hear people, I don't know. And there's stuff that, stuff like I said, standards. We have what is that? A trench hog, standard color, like some kind of blue color. We got trick worms, right? Yeah, black trick worms, different other crawl baits. I mean, there's a lot of bass stuff in here. Yamamoto crawl baits. We got Senkos in here. We've got a 10-inch Mondo worm. There's a lot of things in here that Richard has sent, and thank you so much, Richard, that I have never used, but maybe I've seen on the shelf before. I've never used these Yamamoto crawls and these Crush City, these Rapala crawls. And then there's some standards that I haven't used in a long time, but work better a little further north. I love fishing these for different smaller things up north. And when I say up north, it doesn't have to be like we all know that I love Minnesota and Wisconsin and way up there, that north, very north, about as north as you can get without going to Alaska. I'm talking just in the States, by the way. So it'd be like Duluth, but you could go just across north of Lake Pontchartrain and probably this one, the water clears up enough to where that one, and then this one is going to be viable. And then it's standards, right? Standards, but white. There's a lot of white, pearl, and bone colored things in here. Oh, not bone, but white and pearl. See? Awesome. Z-Man, Paddle Tail, Diesel Minnow. And that's like a fluke, but not by Zoom. Lots of swim baits. Actually coming strong with Ned Rig baits and assortments. There's more curly tails. We're kind of doing a speed run on this. Here we go. We got stickos. This is like okay, so there are people who call all stick baits, falsely they call them Senkos. Senkos are Senkos. Only the stick bait made by Yamamoto, Gary Yamamoto, is a Senko. Everything else is not a Senko, it's just a stick bait. Remember, Senkos are stick baits, and Yum Dingers are stick baits by Yum. So a stick bait by Yamamoto is a Senko. So many times someone's been fishing a stick bait. So, oh yeah, what are you fishing, bro? Oh, I'm fishing a Senko. And then they break out a new one, and I'm like, that's not a Senko? Yeah, it is. I'm like, the pack says Yum Dinger, buddy. Oh, I thought they were all Senkos. See? And then they get upset because you were correcting them. But stick bait. Stop the confusion. See what I'm saying? Standards. Yeah, you're right. Watermelon red, speedworms. Bang sticks, stick bait. Some people get annoyed when I'm like, I'm really a stickler for it. Like, stop calling Yum Dingers Senkos. You confuse me when you, like, so many times someone is like, oh, I'm fishing a Senko, and I'm like, what? Why does it not have the same action? It must not be a Senko. Yeah, you're right. Standards. Coming strong with the standards, and then the stuff that I've never fished. I've never fished this right here. You see that? And then there's bait. There's soft plastics made by companies I've never heard of here. Bayou Stealth Minnow. This is by Captain James Custom Tackle. We'll turn it around so you get a better look at the pour. The paddle tail. Not sure if this is a bass bait or a trout bait. I've never heard of this company. I wonder if they're still around. More DOA. And like I said, companies I never heard of. Chicken Boy Lures. So it's just like a curly tail swim bait, kind of an interesting pour. So I got two tails. Let's break this out real quick. Get some grease on my fingers. You see that? That's kind of interesting. I'm curious as to what the action is like and where I could use that right away to see what the action is like. I don't want to just put one on and just to see the action, but I'm at a place where the color's not going to work so much. Maybe at night. Chickenboylures.com. I appreciate the mascot. It's kind of funny looking. Yeah, there's a lot of Bass Pro Shop baits in here. There we go. So, you know, I really have not been to Bass Pro Shop too many times. There's not one close by. Maybe I've been 2-3 times. And I think it's just the one, yeah, just the one in Alabama. Like I stopped there briefly coming or going to Florida. Spanish Fort, Alabama. It's the only one I've ever been to. And what do I think about Bass Pro Shops? It's interesting to be in a place where there's so much stuff, right? It's just boom. But yeah, the prices. All right, so check that out. It's interesting. The fish tanks are interesting. I can find just about anything, it seems. Not everything. More of these diesel minnows. That one's interesting, the color, right? More bang sticks. The only thing is, yeah, it's interesting to walk in and look at everything, but when you see stuff you want, you have to limit. You have to put the limiter on. See that? if you don't use the limiter and you allow yourself to fill up the cart or the basket, get a pile, you know what I'm saying, right? Might be missing your truck payment or something. I've bought swim baits from this company before. This is a Little Dipper Sexy Shad, right? Reaction Innovations. I discovered them in Texas. So before I saw them on the shelf, there's this bass fisherman, he's a YouTuber. I can't remember his name, I'm sorry. I apologize. North Texas, Metroplex area, around there. It's where he's focused. Fighting the traffic, crossing the sprawl to get to spots to fish, catching nice fish. He was using these, a darker color, and that's where my interest started. And then I saw them on the shelf and I started fishing them, and I like them. There's actually some Matrix in here, but this is the Vortex by Dockside. That's more of a redfish bait, but it catches trout as well. Flukes, the paddle tail flukes. Another swim bait that is kind of flukish looking. It just keeps going, man. More Ned rig stuff. This is soft plastics for Ned rigging. Okay, I said Ned rigging soft baits and accoutrements. So there's Ned rig jig heads in here as well. Is it just 2 packs? We got. Are these 2 different sizes? Yes, 2 different sizes, so that's cool. A variation, a couple of options. And then there's some other jig heads in here too. Double-eyed minnow head. You can always get a better look if you look at the back of something, but this, it doesn't really matter. It's the same thing. Here's another one by a company I never heard of, but it's we've looked at an example of baits from this company already that came out of this box. Captain James Custom Tackle again, Bayou Stealth Minnow. I've not taken the time to Google this and see where this is coming from, but maybe somewhere on the Gulf Coast, because it says Bayou Stealth Minnow. Rooster tails, two of them, right? Yes. Awesome. I like these rooster tails and MEPS because they always track well, opposed to the cheaper versions, the knockoff versions of these things, like the ones that are like $1 a piece at Walmart, or they were, you know, the cheaper ones. They don't always track well, but those, oh, I'm so happy. I'm like scared to fish from certain places because, yeah, I don't want. Like these are famous for getting snagged at certain famous places I fish around here, where these actually work. But maybe you get one fish, and on the 5th cast, boom, it's gone. Look at this. This is crazy looking. That is super fired up. Did it come out of a closet or what? Weird looking too. Where? Oh man, I want to try fishing that. That is super flaming. Wow. Whoa. Okay, we're about there. More trick worms. Watermelon seed. Really cool looking small spinnerbait. This I appreciate so much you don't even know. Oh, I needed another float just like this. All right, that was it for the baits and stuff. There's one more thing. One more thing. There's another box. It was a box in a box. So this is a Recon saltwater reel by Cast King. the handle and everything's in there, but we'll just look at it. It's a 2500. I'm so amazed, Richard. You're coming so freaking strong on the last hurrah here. There will be probably likely another box publicly made public in the future. It's just for the moment, the box is done. This box is done. But this box we hadn't even got to. So thank you so much, Richard. Not even sure what I'm gonna put this on quite yet. But this is awesome. 2500. I'm not even sure if I want to use this for bass or saltwater. A lot of times for trout, my rods that are for trout and other things, a lot of times it's 3,000 to 4,000. I like 3,000 a lot because it's 4,000 just weighs more. Well, the reason why I don't use 2500s for my trout rods and my redfish rods, bull reds, capacity. I have a little more capacity on a 3,000 and a lot more on a 4,000. Sometimes, you know, usually my bass reels are 25,000 and smaller because I don't always need the capacity, right? So I'm not sure. This is more of a bass reel to me, a little heavier than a bass reel should be. Maybe it'll just be a versatile rod. I'll put it on a bass rod, but it'll be versatile, right? Because sometimes I'm out doing a bass session and for whatever reason it turns into a brackish session. Like I go out in the morning looking for bass, and then all of a sudden I'm in a truck. I ain't even been home yet and I'm catching trout or redfish. And sometimes where I'm fishing for bass, there's actually redfish. So maybe a versatile thing right there. Bass and redfish and trout. It doesn't matter. That's how I rock sometimes. But I like to, these days, like I used to do that exclusively, my bass rods were my trout rods. Now I don't like doing that. I have bass rods calibrated just for like one type of thing. Like I have a rod back here that I only use for finesse fishing. A lot of it's weightless, but then, you know, there's other various things I will use it for because it's well suited to that. And then there's rods that I only use for other things, weighted things, hard baits, topwater, stuff like that. And I never take them to a saltwater environment. And then there's rods that I do, that I only use for trout. Like I'm compartmentalizing things rather than making them like streamlined, can do anything. It's just, yeah, you're right, Richard. Cheers, Richard. Thank you so much. Tea break. Oh, that is soothing. So it's ginger tea and black tea together with just a little bit of milk. Really, really nice. Oh. This is coming from Dave. Dave has sent stuff before, but Dave, I wasn't expecting a heavy box. I went to the post office this morning and I said I don't want it anymore. I dropped the keys off and she got this box for me. And I was like, oh my goodness. Because I just showed up just on the bike, on that e-bike over there. Dave. Oh, at least it's, well, I don't want to say anything because what if I say chili, at least it's not chili cheese Fritos again, and all of a sudden it's like chili cheese Fritos, but you're not going to believe what it is. Oh, look what you did, Dave. Look, he sent a whole case, a whole flat of these. He saw that I made a video on M Hood Discovered where I said, oh, I love this flavor. I went, oh, was I not supposed to look down? Whoa, Dave, thank you so much. Look, ramen. Ramen for days. Ah, holy smokes, Dave. Dave. Oh. Oh. Look what Dave sent. This is the tea that I'm drinking. I made a cup of tea with one bag. You know, when you see me, like if here pretty soon, there's tea videos. I make tea videos. You know, M Hood Discovered, it's gonna be a lot of things as time goes on, but it's always gonna be food related, right? Food related stuff. Even when I'm traveling and whatnot, I had to pause for a second. There was something I needed to deal with all of a sudden. Anyway, food related, yes. But the underlying thing with M Hood Discovered is healthy lifestyle. If I keep promoting it and making videos about it, it's really easy for me to keep my life healthy. You know, if I just keep to myself and I don't talk about it and I don't share, how good is it? What good am I doing in the world? Will I? So, like, you know, it kind of helps you keep to your guns, keep to the truth that you're trying to live, right? Not that it's the people watching that are doing that for you, like holding you to a higher standard. They'll do that no matter what. It's more about a mental thing with yourself. It's like you got to practice what you preach, right? So if you're always talking about a healthy lifestyle but you're not showing it, no one really knows if it's true or not, right? And you can always say that, oh, he's just doing healthy stuff on the videos, but then as soon as he turns the camera off, he turns around and he's got some Burger King back there behind him, which I say Burger King, and maybe I should say Pepsi too, because I don't like Pepsi and I don't like Burger King, but I like Yorkshire tea. Funny thing about this tea versus like tea you could go in the store and get, black tea you could go here and get in the store. The tea like Lipton, that I don't understand this, but this is how it is. This is not made for the American public. This is made for other people from the UK. Same thing with this ramen is made by a Japanese company, but this particular ramen is made in, I believe, Anaheim, California, the last time I looked. That's not made in Japan and shipped here. So the difference between tea made for people in the UK and ramen made for people in Japan is the flavor stronger. Why that is, I don't know, but they somehow believe that, oh, Americans like a weaker cup of tea and they don't like a strong tasting soup. So when you make instant ramen that's made in Japan, like say you go to the Hong Kong market here, the Asian market here, and you buy ramen that was produced in another country, chances are the soup packet is going to be heavier in flavor, maybe a little saltier, because people in Japan and some other Asian countries, but we'll stick with Japan, and people in Japan like things a little saltier. So there might be more of a fishy flavor, more of a salty flavor. Well, people in the UK have always had a strong cup of tea. So to get what most people in the world would consider a normal cup of tea out of like Lipton here, you need 2 bags of Lipton to make what 1 bag of this is going to make, right? This makes a really strong tea. You could taste it. It is very flavorful. Now, most people in this country, they're buying a tea like Lipton and then other ones like Tetley, not to make a hot cup of tea like I am, but to make a pot of tea, to make iced tea or sun tea, right? That's what it's suited for. That's what's good for that lighter tea, right? And this is like, I'm talking stuff that I should be talking on M Hood Discovered rather than M Hood Fishing, but this is what powers me. Cafe Bustelo, dark roast coffee, and black tea. This is how I like my caffeine. I don't like energy drinks anymore. They take too much out of me. If I'm gonna have an energy drink, I would prefer it to be sugarless, but I would prefer just to have a cup of tea, honestly. Speaking of that, so Richard came really, really strong, and so far Dave is just as strong. Head to head, Richard and Dave. Richard is in Texas, and Dave, I believe, is in Ohio. I won't say where. 2 boxes of Yorkshire tea. High up there. Yeah, you're right. Oh, paper. We got paper. We run out of toilet paper, we got that. I'm just kidding, I would never use that. Boom! Super strong, Dave. You're coming super strong. Yeah, you're right. Okay, we got one more. You know, I was trying not to like read anything on this box, Dave, down in here. And I looked down and I read something and I was like, oh, homeboy watched that video. So what's the video I'm talking about where I was like talking about ramen and this? What is this? Let's just pull this out. It's a video on M Hood Discovered. It's been, oh, I picked it up wrong. Oh no, oh. Look at that. Look at this, look what Dave sent. Holy smokes, Dave. Oh my goodness. Hold on, look at that. Wow. So Dave, you must have seen that video. That's the only way to explain this. We've got it's all very vanilla, right? I've actually got like 2 of these in the refrigerator. Let me get a cold one. I got a cold one. Why am I gonna open the warm one when I got cold ones in the refrigerator? The one I had in the refrigerator looks different. It's got the green. That's because the one Dave sent is 10 grams of protein, and this is 20 grams of protein, right? It's all good though. These are protein drinks by by Nestle Boost. Whenever I'm trying to pick these out, I feel so old standing there, and I'm like, I'm never going to buy Ensure because that would make me feel even older. I don't like feeling old. I'm not trying to like say that I'm not old. I'm not trying to like live like I'm not trying to act outside my age, but I am very aware of my age, and that's why I like a healthy lifestyle because of my age. As I get older, if I maintain a healthy lifestyle, I can grow old gracefully and handle it better, I think, right? So these are really good. Sometimes I just need some protein, right? I like to put this in a smoothie. So he saw the video on M Hood Discovered where it was just so hot. I needed to escape, and I just went into the grocery store and walked around for an hour or so vlogging because their AC is so much better. Yeah, you're right. That's what I did yesterday at some point. I'd sat here and we got out with the dogs for a while, and then I sat here for a while, and then I was like, oh. I went over there and walked around because they have like a diesel generator, so they had their AC and everything running. But yeah, coming strong, both of ya. Woo! Quite tasty. I would imagine that there's no difference in flavor between the two. This is the 20 and this is the 10. Maybe there is. Maybe the only thing I could guess. Shit, I hate guessing when I don't have to. When I could just like do this. I know. Let's see. What's the difference between the 10 and the 20? There's a slight difference, but most people wouldn't catch it. This one is slightly heavier because this one has less protein in it. So maybe this is just a little more chalkier, but not too bad. It's not a problem, right? These are really good. Much better than like some of these protein drinks or, sports drinks and energy drinks. And they're not too expensive. Sometimes these protein drinks are way overpriced. Right. So if you're one of those fishermen that thinks you always need one or two monsters just to go fishing, please rethink that. Those things are so horrible for you. I know from experience, after drinking one or two of those, because I had like super long hour session, lots of driving, going down and coming back, and there for like 10 hours or more in the heat, drink two of those and just feel so bad afterwards. The crash was so hard and then didn't feel right the next day. I know people that did a number on themselves because they were drinking those every day and they just tore themselves up. Those things are bad. Think about it. Think about getting energy in a different way, a more natural way. Nothing wrong with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. If you're gonna do the energy drink, look for one that's not too toxic and go with the one without sugar. Until then, thank you for watching, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, being a member of the channel, and all that good stuff. And I will see you next time. Yeah, you're right.